What's going on, everybody? Fedor here from 3D Print SOS. Welcome back to the channel. And today we are checking out Nano Diamondized PLA from 3DMax. And it's made with explosions. Alright, so Nano Diamondized PLA. I have two rolls here. I have a white and a black roll. It's interesting that they can even change the colors of this. This is somewhat similar to how fiber-filled PLA is, or carbon fiber filled PLA is, in the sense where there's an additive to the PLA to make it do something slightly different than regular PLA. For example, if you're into carbon fiber PLA, that's pretty much a carbon fiber dust that gets added to the filament that changes its properties a bit, gives it a certain look and feel, and also makes it just a hair stronger because the fibers can potentially fuse the layers together a little bit better. And that's kind of right along the lines with the claims here, except for one added thing, which is faster printing, because apparently nano diamonds are spherical, so they act as almost like a lubricant for your nozzle and for just the filament going through, which means you should be able to print a little bit faster with the stuff. And this is apparently the only United States made nano diamondized PLA. So that's interesting that 3DMax is the first to do that in the United States, and it's an entirely US made filament. This stuff is not cheap. It is definitely a premium filament. That's why I want to test it out. And the way I want to do that is I have two machines behind me. I have a regular Aquila, which is basically an Ender 3 V2. So we're going to test this, and this is going to be the benchmark machine. I'm just going to print on it as if it was a normal print for me, how I would print on this entirely stock machine. Then over here we have the Fokoos Odin, which is a direct drive machine. It has dual Z and it has a volcano style hot end, which is going to allow us to print faster on this machine. So at least for the very first test, I want to print regular here and I want to print fast here, because the claims are faster printing, exceptional flow. You see where I'm getting at? So let's go ahead and open both the black and white Nano Diamondized PLA. We're going to load these printers up and we're going to do a test print, one fast, one slow, see what they feel like, what they look like, and then we'll keep going. So let's go ahead and check that out. So both machines have started printing. We have the Aquila printing in white, and right now the bottom layer is going at 30. On this machine, the Odin, the bottom layer here, is going at 60, and it is looking flawless. I started this machine up first with the white, followed by the Odin. The only thing I see here is in this little corner right here, we have a little bit of a retraction issue in this corner, but as far as the layers laying down, they are looking absolutely perfect. I know white's a little bit hard to see, but we'll take a look at it closer in some better lighting once I take it out of here. So as you can see, it's almost halfway done through the first bottom layer, and this started before this machine, but since this is going twice as fast, it is already going to lap the other machine. So this one is going to print at 120 millimeters per second when it's going to go up in this print. And I am doing a vase mode print for the first, just to check the speed. So it's going to be printing really fast. This is going to print half that speed at 60. So should be a really good comparison. I'm going to go and let these things print, and I'll come back in a little while. We'll pull them off, and we'll compare the quality of the two. All right, so here is the finished black Nano Diamond PLA. I did notice that you could just touch it and it comes right off, which is really nice. It does look like it deformed a bit on the sides. I wonder if 210 degrees is just a bit too much. So this printed at 120 millimeters per second, zero hiccups on that. This is a 0.6 millimeter nozzle, and this is at a 0.3 millimeter height. Let me see how close I can get with this lens. You definitely can see the layers, but they are very smooth. I mean, there's just no, outside of this bowing that happened, this feels really, really nice. So let's compare it to the white stuff printed on the Aquila. All right, so here is the other print. This took a little over 3 hours. But looking at it, it did bow in exactly the same way. I also had this at 210 degrees, so I think I'm going to reprint both at around 200 just to see if that's because I just had the temperatures a bit too high. I did also notice that this also came right off of the build plate, and let's spin this around and just take a look. This was printed with a standard 4mm nozzle, 0.4mm nozzle at 0.2 layer height. So as you can see, it also deformed in a very similar way. I wonder if it was just too hot with a really thin wall getting cooled really quickly. So I mean, you can see that shine on this filament. So it feels really nice. This has a 4 bottom layer, so it keeps the bottom nice and sturdy. This deformed quite a bit more than the black. Actually, let me grab that. All right, so here they are side by side. Actually, this fared a little better, but I have a feeling that's because this is 0.6 and this is 0.4, so they're just quite a bit more plastic here, just in general. Let's see if these fit on top. Yeah, they do fit pretty well. So I just have to figure out why they are printing like this. Otherwise, it looks like the black is shiny, but not in the same way. It has this kind of matte look to it, looks real clean. However, the white is really shiny, has this almost like pearl shine to it. So both look really nice. Just have to figure out why that's bowing and try it again just to get these to be a little cleaner. Otherwise, so far so good. Prints with my regular PLA settings, but I have a feeling this might have to go down a little bit in temperature, so let's give that a go. All right, guys, it's the next day and 2 more are done. As you can see, they printed exactly the same as the first. Quality's still great, but they still have warping, so reducing the temperature down to 200 wasn't it. Look at that nice shine on that white and just the smooth walls on the black. Yeah, this stuff's pretty sturdy. You can move it around. It doesn't seem to crack that easily, which is really nice. I did see a video by CNCKitchen from April 24th, 2021, where he talked about this issue exactly, and it's literally really similar shapes, and he's talking about how the plastic deforms because it just cools and it's a really thin layer. So the way to solve that, he found by adding texture to the outside of the part, making it significantly stronger depending on the texture. And I realized that I do use a bunch of these. You can see some of these in my earlier videos. This one's transparent yellow. I know it's kind of hard to see with these lights specifically, but if you can tell, it has these ridges on it that go up and down throughout the whole thing, and they actually make it much more sturdy, and they stop it from warping because technically these straight walls have no structure to them. That's why it's doing really good everywhere else except these straight walls have this little bow to them. It's just how the plastic works. So it's not a fault of the filament itself, but more so of the design of this specific print. These are totally still usable. They popped right off the glass, so there was no adhesion issue. And this white is definitely impossible to see when the white lines are shining on it. But yeah, it's really shiny. It has this nice little shine pearl type of effect. Kind of almost looks like wet paint, and it feels really nice, and they seem to fit together. Okay, all right, see you guys in the next test. All right, guys, this is a 45-minute Benchy. At least it was 45 minutes in Cura. In real life, it was a little bit longer. It was about 50 or so minutes, and this thing was cooking when it was printing. Now, this is with a 0.6mm nozzle at 0.3 layer height. I mean, it looks great. Look at those top layers. There's no stringing. It looks good. This is a good Benchy. Just the fact that it's printed with a larger nozzle and it was so fast, that's really nice. Let me take you off the tripod real quick. All right, the gears on this machine are printing perfectly. And there's still quite a bit of time left. It says about 6 hours or so. Should be a little less than that. I know this thing's perfectly in the way, but they look like they're coming out absolutely perfectly. Everything is looking sharp. Another thing to mention about it is it's a little bit off-white. I'm guessing because of the nano diamond dust or whatever you want to call it that's in the filament itself. It is not pure white. So if you wanted to mix this in with some other prints with regular white PLA or PETG, you would definitely notice. But so far so good. I'm enjoying using the filament. There hasn't been any hiccups at all. Everything's been printing fast and smooth and nice and crisp. So looking forward to continue to test it. All right, let's keep trying. All right, guys, so that's nano diamond filled filament from 3IIDMax. 3IIDMax has a ton of great deals on filament on their website. Now they're selling them on Amazon too, so they're making that really convenient, which is really nice. And I wouldn't say this is your everyday filament like their other PLA Plus. I think this is kind of like a really high-end filament that you use as like a show-off piece. Like this piece came out so well. I love looking at the layer lines, and this was just mind-boggling at how fast I could print this. This was at 120 millimeters per second, and there's very little to no issue whatsoever on this print, and it's really nice to just see the layers and how they reflect all the light off, and it's just been impressive. I think it's impressive to see that these layers on a 0.4 millimeter nozzle on a single layer are that strong, and the layer adhesion is definitely there. I can easily say that the adhesion to the build plate is really nice. If you look at the reflection on all these squares, if you guys know that if you print a square, it's very likely to peel in the corners. This wasn't printed with any brims or anything, with no glue, nothing along those lines, just isopropyl alcohol and leveling. And this stuff is strong, and it looks really nice. Now, when I say strong, listen guys, I'm no scientist. I'm not gonna pretend like I can compare this with some tools against other PLA and let you know how strong it is and give you a numerical value. I don't do that here on this channel. I do a lot of stuff for fun, and I just try to share my fun with you guys when I'm enjoying something, and I've definitely enjoyed this filament. The gears here came out perfect. Their mesh is really nice. These are gears I'm going to use in a future project, basically powering the whole thing, and I'm going to use this stuff and test its strength there. Another thing I can note is this this little Benchy's got to be one of the most impressive Benchies that I actually have. I've near 50, if not over 50 Benchies. From every filament that I get, I typically print a Benchy to have it on my shelf and also use it as a color swatch and also test the machine, how it does with the filament. This printed in 45, well, let's say 50 minutes, because it said 45, but it was about 50 minutes. and that's just incredible to me. There's zero stringing whatsoever. The only issue was I left the Z seam in the middle by accident instead of putting it like in a corner. There was no lifting. It just prints, which is really nice. And you know, it's definitely not cheap stuff. If you want everyday cheap stuff, they have it, and they have a lot of colors in it. This, I feel like, is the stuff that you save for something really nice, like if you want a shelf piece like this. But yeah, so far I'm really impressed. The only issue that I ran into, by the way, wasn't related to the filament. This model mostly is printed off of the build plate. A lot of these extremities need supports, and this was just lousy. There was just so many supports, and it just doesn't look that good. This is definitely not a show-off piece. I don't think this has anything to do with the actual filament, but the way the model was done, I think that if I was to reprint this, I would either cut it in half or print it in a way where things are laying flat instead of lifted up off of it. I would say the majority of this print was pretty much printed on some kind of support, so it's not necessarily pretty. But yeah, other than that, everything that I've thrown at it, it has done really, really well. I'm just baffled that you can print this fast without any kind of, you know, artifacts or skips or just general adhesion issues or cooling issues. And the thing is, both of these machines have printed with my absolutely regular PLA profiles. I haven't tweaked anything to them at all. And when I was testing these, when they were, I even went cooler on it and printed them at 200 and 205, and they printed exactly the same. So I would keep it at 210 on the hot end for that, because that just helps layers stick better to themselves, and I've had no problems with cooling on both machines, and they're very different machines. I just want to touch base on that again in case I didn't mention it before. One was a completely stock Aquila with zero modification, just completely stock out of the box, and one was a Fokoos Odin 5, also completely stock except for the shroud. That's 3D printed. Actually, that one has a 0.6mm nozzle, and that allows me to not only print fast but just print stronger as well, which is really cool. So yeah, excited for the gears, really excited for this model. It's going to go right into my little Star Wars section that I have on the shelf, and I'm definitely looking into printing more of these because this was inspiring. So yeah, definitely take a look at this Nano PLA Plus. I'll have links down below in the description. They're now selling them on Amazon and their website. And the regular PLA I have been using almost exclusively, aside from things like shiny silk filaments. I've been using them for several months now, and I absolutely love them. You can get those in bulk and crazy deals there. So definitely check out those links. Guys, check out the Discord for the channel. If you're having issues with your printer, or you have cool things to share like this, or maybe a modification that you really enjoyed, or have questions about modifications or software, definitely hop in the Discord. Lots of conversations going on there. Everyone's helping each other out, and it's really fun to go in there and just to talk to like-minded people. So definitely check out the Discord. The other thing is the Patreon for the channel. Really appreciate every single one of you guys that's a Patreon member, and you guys get to see every video early and comment, and it's way more of a one-on-one situation on Patreon. So if you have questions for me, hop on there and definitely send me a message, and we'll have a chat. Other than that, guys, I really enjoyed this filament. I can personally recommend it at least to try. Grab yourself a roll and print yourself something really nice to really show off your print and enjoy it. All right, as always, I'll see you down in the comments. Later.